Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Simon J. Spirit of Brian. I'm going to give you a word on tonight. Jesus raised a dead girl. He restored her back to life. And Luke, we started going to come from Luke chapter 8, 40 through 56. So now when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. So Jesus had returned from providing salvation, from hardship. The crowd he just left in Galilee had tried to follow. Now he quickly evolved, by a crowd that had been awaiting his arrival. So then a man named Jairus, synagogue leader, he's the leader. He came and he fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house. So the synagogue was the local center, of worship. A synagogue leader was responsible for administrating, building, mentors, and it would have been quite usual for a respectable synagogue leader to fall at Jesus' feet. He a leader already. So it eventually, it's respectful that a leader will bow down to Jesus, and beg him to heal his daughter. Now Jesus honored this man and humbled his faith. So now because his only daughter, a girl about 12 years old, now she was 12 years old, and was dying, and his girl, she was 12 years old and she was dying, and asked Jesus to come to his house and save his daughter. So while Jesus was still speaking, someone had came from the house of Jairus and his synagogue leader, your daughter is dead. And he said, don't bother the teacher anymore. So when Jesus was headed to Jairus' house, he had stopped, and a woman in a crowd had touched him, and Jairus' faith was tested when he heard. That's why Jesus was healed and the woman and his daughter had died. So Jesus had responded by working a greater miracle than Jairus expected. For he brought the girl back to life. Hearing this, Jesus had said to Jairus, he said, don't be afraid. Just believe. And see, Jesus said, don't be afraid. Just believe. You have to believe that she will be healed. So now Jesus had told him, don't be afraid. Just believe. So anyone with a child can put themselves emotionally in Jairus' place. Now his daughter, had died while they was on the way, home, and Jesus surely had felt the father's very human sadness. So when he arrived at the house of Jairus, now he did not let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James. Now he is the child father, and mother. So now we see that Jesus only let 5 people, in the room, less attracted to perceive the miracle. So meanwhile, all the people was waiting and mourning, for her, So Jesus like, stop the crying. Stop the crying. Jesus has said she is not dead, she asleep. Now anytime Jesus gonna tell you that person not asleep, it said this person is not dead, she asleep. You got to have faith and believe. You have to believe what Jesus said. If Jesus said she is asleep, they have to believe and got to have faith that Jesus gonna perceive that miracle. So when he arrived at the house of Jairus, and he did not let anyone go in besides 5 people. So now we see that Jesus only let 5 people to be in the room. Less people in the room, the less that he can do his miracle without any distraction, to perceive the miracle. So meanwhile, while all the people was waiting and mourning for her, he told them to stop mourning, that Jesus had said that she is not dead but asleep. So just while crying, she was just crying, so hard for that girl. Now Jesus said, She's not dead, but asleep. So they had laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. See, they know that my daughter is dead. So I don't know what you're talking about. She is asleep. My daughter is dead. My daughter been dead for some hours now. You were supposed to be here and you came late, but it doesn't matter. Jesus came late on purpose. Was to perceive that miracle. To perceive that miracle, excuse me. Perceive that miracle. Jesus came late on purpose so they can see, so they can actually see that she is dead. That's what Jesus wants them to know. She is dead. They thought she was dead. Okay, but now Jesus is here. She's asleep. So the parents knew that she was dead. So when Jesus had said she was asleep, they laughed. That's the same thing Sarah did. Didn't believe. Gonna laugh. It been a long time she ain't had no baby. When God said, by next year around this same time you're gonna have one, she bust her laugh. She who me? And that's how it is. Jesus said, she is not dead. She is asleep. They laugh. Because they don't have no belief. They don't have no faith, that she is asleep. But he took her by the hand and said, my child, get up. Get up. So now Jesus had spoke words. And then he told her to get up. Now Jesus had perceived a miracle, right before their eyes. Right before their eyes. Now her spirit had returned at once. And she stood up. And then Jesus had told them to go get something to eat. Like I said, she was asleep and now she is hungry. Jesus hold her hand and Jesus said, I need you to get up. Get up. Jesus had spoke words and she got up. So that spirit, so the parent knew that she was dead. So when Jesus had said that she was asleep, they laughed. But he had took her by the hand and he said, child, get up. So now Jesus had spoke words, and then told her to get up. So when Jesus had perceived her miracle, she had restored back to life. Now her spirit had returned at once. Now she had stood up and then Jesus had told them to give her something to eat. So now her soul, which was departed from her upon all the powerful verses of Christ. Now return to her, her body and re-enter as virgin of. Now this showed that the soul had died and not with the body, but that it existed in the separating state from its after death. Now her parents were astonished, but he ordered them not to tell anyone what happened. So Jesus pursued this miracle. But then he told the family, I don't need you telling nobody about this here miracle. We going to keep this on the down low right now. And so he kept that on the down low and told them not to tell everyone, But Jesus had told the parents, not to talk to anyone about his daughter. Then he brought his daughter back to life. Then they knew the fact that will speak for themselves. Now see, Jesus said the fact will speak by itself. The fact will speak by itself. Now Jesus was concerned, for his ministry, but he did not want to be known as just a miracle worker. So instead he wanted people to listen to his word, which could heal her broken spirit life. So we see that this leader, begged Jesus to come and save his daughter, but they deal with another situation, and they got there late and the girl had died, so the parents had cried, and Jesus had said, the girl is asleep. Not believe. They didn't believe and they laughed because Jesus turned their laugh into laughter, and turned it around, so told the girl to raise up and she raised up. So that's the story. The little girl, Jairus, had hunt Jesus down, bowed down to his feet. That his daughter was sick, she half died. But then Jesus had to deal with a situation with the woman had bleed for 12 years. I put that out the other day. And now we have a little girl that's 12 years old. Took sick. And she died. The time Jesus got there, she had a deep hole. But that don't stop God. That don't stop God. He can still bring you to. Still bring you to. And so Jesus had to restore this girl back to life. Restore her back to life. You know. And so that's all I have for you tonight. Y'all have a blessed and safe night, and I see y'all on the next video.